Hello and welcome back to the Showing Up to Life podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Art Burns, and it has been a long time. It feels like a lot longer than it's been, too, because I just looked it up, and it's been 3 weeks to the day since I recorded an episode here on the podcast and YouTube channel. And my gosh, I swear it feels like it's been like years or months at least, and I miss you. I really do. I really enjoy doing this content, and so it's great to be back and to have this what is a very impromptu episode today, which some of you have mentioned that you've come to enjoy the impromptu nature of the episodes these days. So here we are. But I wanted to jump on for a couple different reasons. So let's say a few different reasons, a handful of reasons, if you will. And pardon me, I'm fighting off a cold that my son's hockey team has been handing around on the ice and in the locker room and stuff. So if I sound a little nasally, please accept my apology. And you might hear me sniffle and you might hear me cough. So please, I apologize in advance. But I wanted to jump on for a handful of reasons. Number one, I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you, and when I say thank you, I mean I wanted to thank you for being part of this process, okay? Now, yes, I could say thank you for your support, thank you for your listenership, thank you for your time, thank you for your interactions, and I do mean all that for sure. Yes, thank you for all of that, okay? But really what I mean is that, because you're there listening, you right there, you sitting there listening or watching this video, because you're there, it makes it gives me the opportunity to speak to you here, right? And so what that means is that you are as much part of this process as I am part of this process. And for that, I want to thank you. And for all the other stuff too, but for that, truly, I want to thank you, and I want to invite you. And some of you, there's some of you who are very interactive. I get comments, I get emails, and I get a lot of feedback, a lot of interaction, and I love it. And some of you aren't, and there's no pressure or anything. But I just want to invite all of you to comment and to interact, because some people have really. Benefited from such interactions. You never know what comes up in a couple of messages going back and forth. So I just, in case you're out there thinking like, oh, I don't want to be that person to comment or send them an email or whatever. If you're on the fence about it, please err towards trying. Maybe that could be a New Year's resolution for you. I just mean because I love it. Okay. But there's no pressure. Okay. So the next reason why I wanted to jump on today, we'll wish you happy holidays. Now, for some of you, maybe your big holiday has passed, right? So Hanukkah ended about a week ago, I think, and or at least a few days ago. I've lost track. This time of year is such a blur, and now having this cold and not sleeping so well, it's just all blurry. But anyway, for some of you, your holiday has already passed, and for you, I say a belated happy holidays, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was fulfilling and happy and exciting for you, and I hope it was warm and you were just had a great time. All right. But for some of you, especially for you in the Christian faith, your big day's tomorrow. I'm recording this here on the 24th on Christmas Eve. And so your big day is tomorrow. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a great time. I hope that you're able to, stay grounded. And I hope that you're able to stay centered. And I hope you're able to, let go of any expectations you might have had of how things are supposed to happen, that will allow you to be more patient and tolerant of maybe things that relatives do or say, or things that our kids do or say tomorrow, and I hope you're also able to accept, right, that this is the Christmas that is here right now, right? Even though, and for some of us, it could be a number of things, right? For some of us, maybe there's family who we've lost recently, or people going through a divorce, like the cycle of divorce doesn't adhere to the holiday schedule, so there might be people out there who are feeling a great deal of sort of resentment for somebody in this, this holiday season. And for you, again, the best thing you can do is to accept that this is what it is. And it doesn't mean that it's bad, and it doesn't mean that it's good. And it doesn't mean that you've ruined anything. It doesn't mean that anything's anything. It just, this is Christmas and this is the way it's unfolding. And the more you can be present with it that way, the more you can accept and forgive and let go and be present, the more you're going to be able to experience it in a way that is, we could say the best it could be, but really it's about being you and being present and allowing this experience to be what it is. And then, who knows, maybe you learn something about yourself through this specific set of circumstances. Maybe there's an opportunity for growth or for healing. Maybe there's an opportunity for forgiveness for someone else. Maybe you can allow the sort of spirit of the holidays to suffuse what is otherwise a negative and difficult situation. Now, that doesn't mean that you give up, the sort of the right that you have to be respected and things like this. I'm not saying like, put it all on hold. No, if somebody's done you wrong and stuff, no, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that, allow whatever is to be, and that way you can experience this Christmas for what it is. And again, to do so without regret, without clinging, without aversion, and doing so with some forgiveness and with some kindness towards ourselves and maybe a little kindness for everybody else, it will allow you to be present with it. And again, growth and learning and healing and everything could be in the potential of that. All right? So I encourage you to consider that, right? And for all of you who are going to have a little bit of a stress-filled day, because for some of us that's what it is, right? I mean, for me, I can tell you that I I have a visceral, it's getting better as I do the work, but for the last few years, for as long as I can remember, it was a visceral, experience, a visceral tension and apprehension and sort of waiting for disaster to fall upon me every holiday season, like from like a week or two before Christmas all the way until Christmas night when it was all over. And this is because the environment in which I grew up, Christmas was a it was pardon my French, but it was a shit show. It was filled with so much pressure and so much, pressure to be something that you're not. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but for some of you, you might be carrying some of that's from a long, long time ago. It has nothing to do with what's happening right now, but yet that tension is real. Right. And again, if there's, maybe you do have a situation like where you understand that that's the way your mother is, that's the way your father is, that's the way your Aunt Bessie is, whatever it is, right? That you're going to experience stress as a result of the exposure to this experience, right? And so for all of you who are in that situation, I want to offer a couple of ideas for you, a couple of, suggestions, right? Number one, reminding yourself that stress is always about, how we're interpreting the outcome of a situation, right? So the important thing to do is just to ground yourself in the situation. You can say something to yourself like something is going to happen here, but I don't know what it is, right? And that allows you to stay in that sort of space of like, okay, well, if I don't know what it is, then I don't know it's bad just as much as I don't know it's good, right? And that lets us sit in the potential of what could be, okay? Now, that's a sort of cognitive practice you can do, right? A more meditative practice you can do is to just pay attention to your body, right? Check in throughout the day. Set a timer to go off on your phone every hour, right? And when you feel the thing buzz in your pocket, the next moment you have free, when you can tear yourself away from Uncle Mitch and his political screen, you can find a moment, even if you have to go to the bathroom, right? And just take a 60 seconds, 30 seconds even, and just check in with your body. Notice specifically the area of your chest and the area of your face. Just notice, is there any tension here, right? And if there is tension, just notice the tension, because just noticing it allows it to start easing up. Right? But the most important thing, there might still be tension there, but the point is that you're present with it. You're not running away, and therefore you're not sort of increasing the stress in your body. And then for those of you who are having a truly acute sort of really stressed, bordering on panic, right? There's a great exercise you can do. Okay, breathe in through your nose, and I can't do this right now because I'm all stuffed up. And if you're stuffed up, you can use your mouth. It's no problem. But if you can breathe through your nose, I think it's 4, 5, 7. I think it is, or 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 7. But anyway, it doesn't matter the amount of time. You can use 4, 5, 6. Okay, so breathe in through your nose for 6 seconds, and 3 seconds. 4, 4, 5, 7. Right. So breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Now, doesn't have to be on a timer, just 1, 2, 3. It's not anything precise. Make sure you're using your diaphragm, though, to breathe in your abdomen, right? So you're breathing with your belly, right? And take a nice deep breath for about 4 seconds, right? Hold it for about 5 seconds, just a little bit longer than your inhale. And then exhale for longer than those two. That's why it doesn't matter if it could be 2, 3, 4, or it could be 4, 5, 6. It doesn't matter the amount of time. The point is that you want your exhale to be longer than your inhale. And you want to exhale through your mouth with a little, almost like you're playing a trumpet, right? You're going to purse your lips a little, and just so you get a little resistance, a little, right? So you have to really blow out. Okay, this is known to activate or to promote the parasympathetic nervous response. Okay, so the more you're able to do this, and again, it's crucial that you breathe with your belly here. Okay, so in through your nose if you can, breathing with your belly, hold for just a couple of seconds, and then pursing your lips and blowing their out again with your belly for longer than you inhaled, and that will help calm you down. Okay, and even if you have to do that every, half hour, right, it will help. All right. So, as I said, there was an impromptu nature to this episode here today, and but the thing that inspired me, pardon me, I just gave a little tea. The thing that inspired me to say, "Oh man, you know what? I'm going to jump on do a video, a podcast episode when I get home." My son and I went to the hockey rink this morning. They had it was open for public skate, right? So there's 100 people out there with their Santa hats and their Christmas sweaters and stuff like that. And so my son and a couple of kids from his team were all going to meet up, and so I drove them up there. We're driving home, and in front of us, there's a van, right? And it's obviously a work van of some kind, right? And I can actually tell that there's restaurant equipment in the back of this van. So this guy's either, somebody who installs and repairs restaurant equipment, or he's somebody who buys and sells restaurant equipment, or he's somebody who works in a restaurant, owns or operates a restaurant. In any of those cases, I know this is a very hardworking individual, right? That those are difficult lines of work. Those are lines of work that require a lot of effort, a lot of physical effort, a lot of physical discomfort, a lot of long hours, a lot of unpredictability, and all kinds of stuff, right? That make it very, very difficult. And I know that firsthand. Okay, and I just happened to notice the particular piece of equipment is oh, that guy's in the restaurant. I know. Okay, so while we're driving, we notice that this van in front of us, it has a customized license plate. This the van with all the equipment in it, right? It has a customized license plate. The customized license plate is the letter H, followed by the number 8, followed by the word work. So H8Work, right? Now at first I was like, H8Work? I was like, is that light work, but with hate? What is this guy? And, and that's when my son, and this was before I saw the restaurant equipment, and my son goes, oh, look at that. H8Work. It's I hate work, right? And I was like, oh, that's what he means. I felt so goofy. But anyway, I saw that and I was like, oh, now I get it, And the thing about the idea of hating work, and this is what made me, started my wheels turning and made me want to come and do this video with you today, is that, that idea of hating work, right? It's very much along the lines of something that a Buddhist monk or a Buddhist practitioner would call a subtle enemy. Okay, now I'll give you a prime example. One of the most common examples of what they refer to in Buddhism as a subtle enemy, right? Which is the feeling and the state of desire. Okay. There's something about desire that feels positive, right? It's this yearning, it's this excitement, this anticipation, right? There's something about that that feels positive. Okay. Now, some of that positive feeling might be conditioned, based on, the reward system and everything else, right? But the important thing is though, is that it feels positive somehow, right? Which makes it very subtle in its enemyship because it is still a form of attachment, right? Even though the desire might be you might be desiring something very wholesome. You might be desiring someone very wholesome to you. You might be, the desire might be, even feel like an expression of love on some level, right? But really, desire is always a form of attachment. It's always this grasping, striving. I need this thing. I want this thing so badly, which really makes it a negative mental. In case that was unclear because the video skipped, but it's a negative mental state. Okay, now when I say a negative mental state, what I'm referring to is what again in Buddhism they call the three poisons, right? The three poisons are three negative, toxic mental states of delusion, aversion, and clinging or attachment. Okay, now whenever we're in one of these mental states, and the delusion is the inability to see things for what they really are, which comes from the judgment and comes from the inattention to what's happening, right? When we're lost in our thoughts and we're lost in the judgments and the categorizations of what we're experiencing, right? We're in a state of delusion. We're not seeing things for what things really are. We're seeing things for how we perceive them to be, right? And so then so that's the first, pardon me, that's the first toxic of the three poisons, the first negative mental state. Then the second negative mental state is aversion, which is the resistance to what is happening. Right, as I said before, there might be some, again, I'm going through some family stuff right now, right? So Christmas time is a time where it's like you're reminded of some family stuff that you're going through, right? And you can, there's two choices you have, right? You can either accept that this is how things are and experience Christmas within this state of reality, right? Or you could resist. And you could be aversive to the fact that, oh, it's not fair. It's not okay. I'm so angry. I'm so upset, right? And then attachment is sort of the other direction of that aversion, right? Attachment is that, no, Christmas is supposed to be family. It's supposed to be happy. It's supposed to be. And so the point is, though, that in any of these three negative mental states, we are always 100% of the time going to experience negative emotions. We're going to experience tension and discomfort in our body. And we're going to experience negative, pessimistic, self-critical, and catastrophizing thoughts, no matter what. And so that brings us back to the idea of desire, right? Which is that even though this thing of desire feels like, no, it's, you love that thing, you want it, you want it, and it's something you love, and so how could it be negative? It feels so positive. But the truth is that in a very subtle way, you're actually going to be promoting and experiencing negative emotions, even in this positive sort of, what you feel like a positive mental action. Okay. Now, hating work, in my opinion, is the same thing, right? That, again, it's so intuitive to say, yeah, we should hate work. We should love play and hate work. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody loves work. Even somebody who does what they love like I do, right? There's still a work aspect to it. Even when things are going wonderfully, there's still a work aspect to this, which is not the same as relaxation, not the same as recreation. And so even if you love what you do, there's a certain sensation, a certain, sort of logic to the idea of hating work, right? And it makes sense, right? It feels like, no, this is what should be happening. This is the way things should be. I hate work. There's nothing wrong with this, right? But the truth is that when you say, I hate work, and it's very, very subtle, okay? But when you do that, you're really exercising a form of aversion, a form of resistance, right? If I hate something, I got to get it away from me. I don't want any part of this thing that I hate, right? So therefore, even if you're going to have the best possible work day you could have, you're earning money, you're caring for people, you're fulfilling your mission, whatever it is, you're still going to experience a negative emotion. Not because of work and not because of you, but because of the hate that you have for work. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with feeling like I would prefer to be playing than to be working, right? There's nothing wrong with that sensation. That's what we would call a discernment, right? That even as they say in the game of golf, there's a very famous cliche that a bad day at golf is still better than a good day at work. Right? And there's nothing wrong with feeling that. That's a discernment, right? That even when I'm playing the worst golf in my life, I'm outside. I'm hanging out with people I probably know, probably like. I'm not sitting in my office under the fluorescent light or whatever it is, right? There's a positive thing to that, right? And that's a discernment. That's not a judgment, right? At least it's potentially a discernment, not a judgment. And that's the trick, right? To be able to see it, that yes, it's okay to prefer, play over work, for instance, or sleep over work, or eating, or spending time with your kids, or going playing hockey, whatever it is, that it's okay to prefer those things over the work that we do. But the minute we say that we hate work, what we're really doing is we're putting, we're sort of setting an intention in our mind that work is bad. Now, again, work can be negative as opposed to play, right? Like we could see the difference that no, given the choice, I'd rather play than to work, right? But that doesn't mean work is bad. Right. And again, as I know I'm saying right a lot here, pardon me. But we can look at it in a lot of different ways to see how, or this is how we can sort of challenge this in our minds. I do this with traffic a lot, right? Anyway, let's stick with work. I don't want to get sidetracked. I'll tell you that story in a second. But when we're feeling like, oh, work is bad, okay, well, what if you didn't have work? Yeah, sure, you might say, oh, well, I'd love to not have work, but whoa, how are you going to pay your bills? And where's your sense of purpose coming from? How are you going to fill that time? Because sitting around doing nothing ain't going to do it for very long, I'll tell you that. So there's a lot of things about work that are positive. So work can't be bad, right? Work is only bad in comparison to non-work, right? So we can accept work for what it is, and we can meet it with that acceptance and meet it with that equanimity of acceptance and non-judging awareness. And then, even though we prefer to go and play golf rather than, get under go into a hot restaurant kitchen and sweat and work and toil, there's nothing wrong with preferring to have the discernment that I enjoy this instead of this, right? But the thing is that we're not judging it as bad or good. And that is keeping us out of those negative mental states, keeping us away from what we would call hate. Okay? Now let me give you the traffic analogy to that, right, or the metaphor for traffic, so that you can understand more clearly what I'm saying. Because I think what I just said maybe wasn't as clear as I hope it was. But anyway, picture a traffic jam. Right, and like a gnarly traffic jam, right? Like nobody's even moving. There's people getting out of their cars at this point because nobody's moving, right? And there's two cars in this traffic jam, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left, there's a guy all alone in that car, and he is on his way to the hospital where his wife is in labor with their first child, right? And he's so upset. He's missing it. Now, she's safe. She's in the hands of doctors, right? There's nothing, if he took a moment and understood that, like, he would know that they are safe, right? But right now, he's like, me not being there is the worst thing that could possibly happen, right? It's for my benefit, for my wife's benefit, for my daughter's benefit. It's all bad. I hate this. I can't stand it. I'm banging the steering wheel, and I'm banging the dashboard, and I'm cursing myself for taking this route to get here. I'm cursing every decision that I made in my whole life that brought me back to this moment, right? That's what this guy's going through, okay? And he's in a state of utter stress and just, oh my gosh, he's so much tension, okay? Now to that guy, traffic's bad, right? And in fact, you can pretty much universally, just like hating work, you can pretty much universally ask anybody in the world, is traffic good or bad? And almost everybody's going to say it's bad, right? But now there's a car next to that guy. The car on the right has three people in it. It has a guy, but he has his wife with him, and also he has his 3-year-old daughter in the back of the car. Let's make her 4. 4 is, 3 years old can sometimes be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get out of here. Right? So let's say 4. Now, this guy's on his way to the airport. And his wife and daughter, 4-year-old daughter, driving him to the airport because he's going to get out and get on a plane and go to, overseas where he's enlisted in the military. He's going to be stationed for 2 years overseas somewhere, which means that he's not going to see this precious little child for 50% of the life that she's lived already. He's going to miss. He knows he's going to miss so many developmental milestones. He knows he's going to miss, school milestones and social milestones. He's going to miss her more than anything. And so for him, this traffic jam is like manna from heaven. Like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. You're giving me this extra time with my children. This is amazing. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, whatever it is that you believe responsible for miracles, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing that could possibly happen. This traffic jam is so good. So I ask you, how could the traffic be either good or bad if both these people are having completely opposing experiences with it in relationship to it? It can't be. It's impossible for something to be both good and bad at the same time. Or we could say that everything is both good and bad at the same time, or everything is either neither bad nor good at the same time. That's the point. That's non-judging awareness. To recognize that subjectively, I either like this or I don't like this. I prefer this. I don't prefer this, right? And this could even go back to work too, right? As we talk about, like let's say, you have somebody who does a difficult job, like working in a restaurant, right? If I have a chance, if somebody says, hey, do you want to come and work in the restaurant for one day and just see what it's like? Oh my gosh, that'd be fun. Yeah, let's do that. That's exciting, But to the guy that does that every single day, it's not exciting to him. For him, it's like, oh God, this is another day. I'm so tired. I wish I had a vacation, right? And so the thing is that it's all about the subjectivity. And the more we can recognize that, and the more we can rest in that awareness, that non-judging awareness that life is what life is. And the aversion and the clinging and the liking and the disliking and the good and the bad of it, the right and the wrong of it, is all just part of my own experience, my subjective experience. And this is something that I have some control over. Through practice, through the very simple practices we talk about in this podcast, which can look like either a formal meditation practice, or it can look at like informal practices where you just, use the brushing of the teeth, or the washing of the dishes, or the walking, or the driving the car as objects of meditation. And I can teach you any of this. Send me a message if you need help. Okay? But as we do this over and over and over and over and over, we gain a skillfulness. And that skillfulness is what we call mindfulness. And that is the ability to pay attention without judgment, and to notice the way we're responding to things, and notice the way, our bodies are reacting and responding. And to do that with a wisdom and a kindness towards ourselves, and an acceptance, and letting go of the idea that, it needs to be something else. That doesn't mean that everything's always going to be comfortable, and always, sometimes we have to work, right? When we wish we could go play golf, right? But it means that we can meet those experiences, even the difficult experiences, like a Christmas without a loved one. We can meet that with an equanimity, with an openness, with a healthiness. And when we do that, everything changes. Every single thing changes. So I hope you're able to do that. I hope you're able to either continue the practices that we've talked about here, or to maybe reintroduce yourself to some of the practices. Maybe something I said today inspires you to, oh yeah, I forgot about that practice I used to do. Let me go back to doing that. In addition to the ones that I named, there's also just the loving kindness practice, right? Which is just, picturing people in your life and just wishing them well. Or as you're out in the world, standing in line at the supermarket, instead of going on your phone, stand there and look at all the faces of all the humans around you, and recognize that each one of these people is just like you. They want to be happy. They want to be well. They would rather go play than work, right? And wish them well. Just say in your mind, I hope something wonderful happens to you today. And this will bring you into present, and train your body, and train your mind, and train your every part of your system to be this non-judging and accepting and letting go and kind and loving individual that's connected to this huge system that we're living in, that we call humanity. All right, folks. My voice is going. I got to go. Another sip of tea to get me through the little outro here. I'm definitely fading fast. But anyway, want to tell you thank you again. And it's really great to do this last, this little impromptu video here. Maybe we'll squeeze one in before the New Year's, but maybe not. So if we don't, I wish you not only the happy holidays, but a happy New Year as well. All right. And we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot, folks. And I wish you well. Take care. Bye-bye.